Listen, right now there is someone in your life who is slowly erasing you. And the terrifying part is they are doing it with a smile.
You probably call them a friend. You might even call them family. They never raise their voice. They never call you names.
In fact, they are the first person to offer help when you stumble. But have you noticed something? Every time you leave their presence, you feel smaller. You feel a little less capable, a little more confused about your own worth, and a heavy unexplained weight in your chest. You find yourself sitting in your car after a conversation with them, staring at the steering wheel, wondering why you feel so exhausted when all they did was give you advice.
You start to question if you are just being ungrateful. You tell yourself that they are a good person, that they have been there for you, and that you are the problem for feeling this way.
This is the silent poison of the nice destroyer. They do not attack your skin. They dissolve your soul. They do not break your bones. They erode your belief in yourself until you become a hollow version of the person you used to be. You think you are losing your mind, but you are actually losing your identity. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic, and you are certainly not ungrateful. What you are experiencing is a sophisticated form of psychological erosion. We have been taught to fear the wolves who growl, but we were never warned about the ones who offer us a blanket while slowly tightening the threads around our necks. In this world, there are 3 specific types of kind people who are actually architects of your insecurity. They are the ones who fix you until you feel broken, the ones who need you until you are empty, and the ones who protect you until you are a prisoner.
If you stay in their orbit, you will eventually forget what it feels like to stand on your own 2 feet.
You will wake up one day and realize that your dreams have been replaced by their expectations, and your confidence has been traded for their approval.
It is time to stop apologizing for your intuition. It is time to look past the gentle words and see the damage they are leaving behind.
You are not a project to be managed. You are not a battery to be drained. You are a masterpiece that is being vandalized by people who claim to be admiring the art.
You might think their intentions are pure, but in the realm of psychology, impact matters more than intent.
If a doctor gives you medicine that makes you sicker, it does not matter how much he wanted you to get well. You have to stop the treatment. Let us pull back the curtain on this lethal kindness and figure out exactly who is stealing your light while pretending to hold the candle for you. Let us peel back the skin of the first architect of your self-doubt. We call them the fixer. On the surface, the fixer is your most dedicated mentor. They are the person you call when things go wrong because they always have a plan. But here is the anatomy of their kindness. The fixer does not want you to succeed on your own terms. They want you to succeed on their terms. Imagine you have just finished a project you are incredibly proud of. You show it to the fixer expecting a moment of shared joy. Instead, they tilt their head, give you a soft, pitying smile and say, "This is great, but did you consider doing it this way? Instead, I just wanted to be perfect for you." In that moment, something happens in your brain. Your dopamine, the chemical of reward and motivation, was flowing. You felt a sense of mastery, but their butt acts like a sharp blade cutting off the supply. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles complex logic, tries to process their words. It thinks they are just trying to help, they are so experienced. But your amygdala, the ancient part of your brain that senses danger, is screaming. It feels the sting of rejection.
This is called micro-eroded confidence. When someone constantly offers corrections under the guise of optimization, they are sending a repetitive signal to your nervous system.
That signal is, you are not enough. Your judgment is flawed. You are a child who needs a guardian. Over time, your brain actually begins to rewire itself. You develop a neural pathway of hesitation. Before you make any move, you hear their voice in your head questioning you. This is the goal of the fixer, even if they do not know it consciously. By keeping you in a state of perpetual, almost good enough, they ensure that they remain the most important person in your life. They are not building you up. They are building a pedestal for themselves using your bricks. You are not a partner to them. You are a perpetual student who is never allowed to graduate.
You start to feel a strange anxiety every time you have a win because you are already anticipating the fix that will follow.
You are living in a state of chronic cortisol elevation, the stress hormone, because your environment never feels safe for your own autonomy. Now let us look at the second type, who is perhaps even more dangerous because they appear so vulnerable. This is the fragile soul, the person who is always in the middle of a storm.
They are the eternal victim. When you look at them, you do not see a threat. You see someone who needs a hero.
Their kindness is a soft, heavy blanket that they wrap around you, but it is soaked in their own misery.
The relationship with a fragile soul is a one-way street disguised as a bridge. Every conversation begins with their latest tragedy.
They were misunderstood at work. Their partner does not see their value. They have a mysterious ache that no doctor can explain. Because you are a person of empathy, your brain does something incredible. You have cells called mirror neurons. These neurons allow us to feel the pain of others as if it were our own. It is what makes us human. But the fragile soul weaponizes your mirror neurons. They dump their emotional, toxic waste into your lap, and because you are so gentle and so broken, you feel a profound sense of guilt if you do not pick it up. This is emotional parasitism. While you are busy stabilizing their world, yours is falling apart. Your brain is being forced to process 2 lives worth of stress, but only receiving 1 life worth of joy. You become soul tired. This is not regular fatigue that you can sleep off. This is compassion fatigue. Your nervous system is trapped in a state of high alert because you are constantly monitoring their emotional weather. You stop talking about your own problems because you feel like they are too small compared to theirs. You stop celebrating your own joys because you do not want to make them feel worse. The fragile soul does not want a solution. If they solved their problems, they would lose their power over you. They want a witness to their suffering who will carry the weight for them.
In the process, they are stealing your light. They are draining your battery to keep their dim bulb flickering.
You think you are being a good person by staying, but you are actually participating in a slow-motion suicide of your own identity. You are becoming a background character in their never-ending drama. Your brain is so busy regulating their emotions that it has no energy left to regulate your own dreams. This is the silent theft of the self.
They are not hitting you, but they are starving you of the emotional oxygen you need to grow. Now we reach the third and most deceptive type of all. We call this character the overprotector. At first glance, the overprotector is the ultimate sanctuary. This individual is the person who warns the listener about every possible danger. The overprotector says things like, "Are you sure you want to take that job? It seems so stressful and I just want you to be happy." Or, "Maybe you should not move to that new city, you are so sensitive and the world out there is so cold."
This individual presents the world as a battlefield and themselves as the only safe bunker. This is the architecture of the golden cage. The overprotector is not trying to hurt the person. The overprotector is trying to keep the person small enough to fit under the wing of the overprotector. This behavior is driven by the deep-seated fear of abandonment within the overprotector.
If the person becomes strong, if the person becomes independent, the overprotector fears becoming irrelevant. So, this individual uses kindness as a leash. The overprotector celebrates the weaknesses of the person because those weaknesses are the glue that keeps the person attached.
But here is where the story shifts. Here is the massive twist that most people never realize.
If the person feels exhausted, if the person feels guilty, if the person feels a strange urge to run away, even when the overprotector is being nice, the person often thinks that the person is the villain. The person thinks, "How can I be so ungrateful to someone who cares so much?" The person labels themselves as cold or broken or incapable of love.
But let us look at this through the lens of pure survival intelligence. That feeling of discomfort is not a flaw in the character of the person. That feeling is the highest form of biological intelligence. Imagine a slow-motion moment of realization. The person is standing in a room with the overprotector. The overprotector is speaking softly, offering another piece of protective advice that subtly undermines the ability of the person to choose.
In that split second, the heart rate of the person increases. The palms of the person become slightly damp. The brain of the person is performing a high-speed calculation. The person is detecting a profound mismatch.
This is not oversensitivity. This is a superpower. The person possesses a high-fidelity emotional radar.
It is the same instinct that told our ancestors to move away from a calm-looking pond because the air felt wrong.
The guilt the person feels is actually a social alarm system. It is the brain of the person recognizing that a boundary is being violated.
When the person feels soul-tired after being with the fragile soul or confused after a talk with the fixer, that is the nervous system of the person performing a self-diagnostic.
The body is telling the person this environment is toxic to our growth. This person is not feeding us. This person is harvesting us. The twist is that the very flaws the person has been criticized for, the tendency to overthink, the deep empathy, the high sensitivity, are actually the tools of liberation.
The person is not difficult for wanting space. The person is an apex perceiver. The person is seeing the invisible threads of control.
This realization is like waking up from a dream within a dream. The person realizes that the person does not need to be fixed because the person was never truly broken. The person was just being viewed through the distorted lens of people who needed the person to be small.
The strength of the person does not come from becoming meaner or colder. The strength of the person comes from trusting the internal compass that has been screaming the truth all along. The person is finally seeing that the cage was never locked. The person was just convinced that the person did not have the wings to fly.
But the wings have been there the whole time, hidden under the weight of other people's expectations. Now the person is ready to expand.
The person is ready to reclaim the space that was stolen. The person is ready to turn the sensitivity that was once a burden into the very engine of freedom.
The metaphor of the entwining vines is the most accurate way to visualize these toxic dynamics. These vines do not look like enemies. These vines look like a vibrant part of the landscape. These vines appear to offer support and color to the tree.
But underneath the lush green leaves, the vines have a single unconscious objective. The vines survive by slowly constricting the trunk and the branches,
wrapping tighter with every passing day until the tree can no longer expand its bark or reach its full height. The tree does not die from a sudden lightning strike. The tree stops growing because of a quiet, persistent, and suffocating embrace. The viewers of this video are the trees. The fixers, the fragile souls, and the overprotectors are the vines.
These individuals might believe that these individuals are providing love, but the biological impact on the person is the same. These individuals are limiting the access to the emotional sunlight and the psychological nutrients that the person needs to thrive.
To start the process of reclaiming the self, the person must first stop the internal habit of self-punishment. The person must accept that the internal feeling of discomfort is not a moral failure, but a piece of vital biological data.
The person has been trained to ignore the intuition of the person, but today that training ends. Here is a small micro-step that the person can implement immediately. This action is called the post-interaction energy audit. For the next 24 hours, the person should commit to being a silent observer of the person's own nervous system.
After every conversation with a nice individual, the person should pause for 60 seconds and scan the body. Does the person feel a tightness in the throat? Does the person feel a dull heaviness in the solar plexus? Does the person feel a sudden, overwhelming urge to sleep?
These are not random sensations. These are the physical echoes of a boundary being crossed. The person does not need to confront the nice destroyer right away. The person just needs to document these feelings. This simple act of documentation creates a crucial psychological distance.
Reclaiming the self is not a loud or aggressive battle. Reclaiming the self is a series of quiet, firm choices made in the privacy of the mind. It is the choice to say no to a helpful suggestion that feels like a weight. It is the choice to remain silent when a fragile soul expects the person to carry an emotional burden.
It is the choice to believe that the person is fully capable of navigating the world without a golden cage. The person is a magnificent and resilient organism with roots that are designed to go deep into the earth.
The person was never created to be a mere support structure for a parasite. The person was created to grow upward toward the person's own purpose. The journey toward true self-confidence begins with the radical realization that the person is allowed to occupy space in this world. The person is allowed to be incomplete. The person is allowed to make mistakes without needing a guardian to correct the path. The person is allowed to experience joy even when the people around the person choose to remain in the dark.
The kindness that destroys is a kindness that fails to respect the individual sovereignty of the person. True kindness is different. True kindness empowers the person to stand alone. True kindness celebrates the autonomy of the person even when that autonomy means the person no longer requires the presence of the other individual.
As the person reaches the end of this exploration, the person should look at the relationships in the life of the person with new eyes. Identify the vines. Do not feel the need to burn the garden down in a fit of rage, but do not allow the vines to determine the ultimate height of the tree.
Gently and firmly, the person must start to untangle the invisible threads of control. Reconnect with the soil of the person's own intuition.
Breathe in the oxygen of the person's own freedom. The life of the person is a vast and open field, and the person is the only individual who has the right to decide what grows there. The person has spent enough time being small for the comfort of others. It is time for the tree to grow.
It is time for the person to see how high the branches can truly reach.
Remember, you are not broken. You are a work in progress.